Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
I will say, dear listeners, dear friends, dear hot dogs, this is episode 26 of the WacArnold's Brothers.
Yeah.
2666.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
I didn't either until just like right before. Got a doozy.
I want to I want to apologize because this is one of those movies that I saw like years ago when I was still drinking and smoking. So I probably saw it like really stoned or really drunk and remember it completely different because I thought there was way more horror elements. And this is essentially like a really fucking awful action movie with some like horror elements sprinkled in.
Yeah.
So it's not like a normal movie that we do, and it's easily the worst movie that we've reviewed.
I think so. I think this is the
hands down.
This is the worst. Yeah. So, you know, the Route 666 is the movie that we chose for this week, and like it's a 2001 like horror light, yeah, at very least. You know, I'm with you, dude. Like it's definitely like a more of like a bad action movie than it is like It's got some ghosts in there.
Right, that's about it.
Like, you know, it's like, or spirits. I don't even remember which.
They're like zombie. They're like ghost zombies.
It's so strange.
It's like another movie in a really long list of Lou Diamond Phillips, like straight to DVD or TV movie. Like he just had this span and you can tell in the movie that he is almost like phoning it in.
Dude,
you know
I was
what I mean?
just thinking about that phrase. I was like, he phoned this in. Like,
yeah, because there's a lot of bad fucking acting in this movie. It's like littered with it, but you can tell that he almost just doesn't fucking care.
No, it's like he read his lines like right before they were shooting a scene or something. He was like, okay, so he knew what to deliver, but you know, I don't know, man. It was all over the place.
One thing that shocked me too is that like we mentioned, there's a couple like actors that have been in horror before. One of them is the guy that plays PT. His name's Dale Midkiff. He's in the original Pet Sematary, and he does a phenomenal job in that movie as like the grieving dad. You know what I mean? And then in this movie, it's like two different people because he's awful in this movie.
It's like this is like the third acting role he's ever had.
It's what it feels like, but it's not true.
The three before this was like extras or something. Yeah, and I know, and that's why I kept thinking too. I was like, I know this guy.
Yeah,
I didn't fully pick him from Pet Sematary, so thank you for bringing that up because that was a good catch.
And then there's two bright spots to this movie though. One is the guy that plays Rabbit.
Oh God, yeah.
Stephen Williams. He's amazing in this movie, and it took me a second. I was like, where do I know him from? He played the bounty hunter Creighton Duke in Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh shit, dude, that was the other cat. Like there's a few, but I was like, I know that guy, man. I know that guy. And then that's fucking good.
The other, it's very quick, but the other highlight of this movie is one of those reoccurring kind of things we've had on here. We have a Dick Miller sighting, like only at the very beginning for like 40 seconds, and that's it. But it's like they almost
Dick Miller alert.
They got him to do this movie, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll be in it, but I got to be out before the first minute."
Yeah, I don't want to be a character. I just want to be there. Yeah, he was the bartender, right?
Yeah, it's that's like a blink and you miss it at the beginning. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. So
goddamn,
this movie opens up with one of the. I feel like maybe it's just preface to what you're about to experience, but it has a really long, boring credit intro.
Yeah,
where it's just like endless shots of the same like roadway, like crossing line or whatever.
It's like a white line. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just goes on for fucking ever, dude. I was like, oh my God, I'm already fucking bored of this movie.
Yeah, it's bad.
But then you just get right introduced to like three of the main characters, really.
Yeah.
Lou Diamond Phillips' character. Well, first you get, I think Rabbit's probably the first one you really
because
see.
like you don't learn their names yet. It's just like this guy sitting at a bar, a roadside diner.
I was kind of thrown off at first. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because Lou Diamond Phillips shows up with, and we forgot to shout her out, Lori Petty. Lori Petty is one of those actresses that she goes back to like Tank Girl. She was in Point Break. Like
That's okay. So I couldn't pin her.
Yeah.
But I will say this:
Tank Girl's the most epic one, though.
I don't remember her from anything else, but in this movie, she made me want to jump through the screen and molly. What she is so annoying, and everything about her delivery. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's one of those things like her. She like when they did I think like 95 they did Tank Girl, she fit really well with that kind of like persona and her delivery. I think everything else outside of that, she gives like a very similar delivery. Yeah, and it just doesn't fucking work.
I don't know if she was trying to go for some like accent or some kind of I don't know, but it was bad. It's bad.
Yeah,
but they
shouts her out either way because she's definitely like she's up there because of Tank Girl. But it opens up with
they like stumble in and they're like
bar scene. You think they're fucked up a little bit already or whatever. And
you think it's just some like drunk couple. You know what I mean?
Totally. And
because they even
try to
like
buy a round for the bar, which is just those two, and then who you learn is his name's Rabbit, and he goes. There's this really great exchange where the bartender asks what's her fucking face. What's Lori's name?
Steph.
The bartender asks Steph what she wants, and she goes, "A screaming orgasm."
It's bad. Yeah.
And then Rabbit, as they're buying around for the house, goes like, he says something to the effect, he's like, "I want a quieter one." He like turns his glass upside down, like he doesn't want any of their fucking drink.
Right.
It
Good for him.
immediately sets him off on this bad foot. But then you learn as Rabbit, aka at this point you really don't know his name, but Stephen Williams, the actor.
You don't know any of their names,
So it's all unknown at this point. But he goes off to the bathroom, trying to like get away from the two annoying people, and Lou Diamond Phillips follows him in there, which you always think is a little strange. You're like, Lou, what are you doing?
Right. And even Rabbit makes a line about something about like, shouldn't you knock or something? I forget what he says.
Yeah. And anyway, there's this great sequence where like this is how you uncover like how you it reveals like who Lou Diamond Phillips is and Lori Petty and what Rabbit and all this is that like there's this great sequence where Rabbit's finishing up his piss and Lou's like washing his hands in the sink in the really small bathroom, and he puts some soap in his hands, and then he just turns around and slingshots it right into the fucking dude's eyes.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was fucking hilarious.
It was so good.
And then just handcuffs him to the window, and he has a great line where he handcuffs him to the window, and Rabbit's like, "I have 2 black belts, asshole." Yeah. He's like, "You know who you're fucking with." He has a lot of good one-liners in this movie.
He does. They gave him like all.
Like I said, he's the one like bright spot.
Yeah. And so then you learn, because then also Lori Petty's character, Steph, walks into the bathroom, and then you learn that Steph and fucking Jack, which are there to basically take Rabbit and bring him to a court in LA.
Yeah,
which
they're federal agents, and he has a case. He's like a key witness
protection or whatever.
Yeah. He's a key witness in the case against Benny the Buzzsaw Buffalino. It's like they only mention his name like twice, and this is one of the times.
Dude, but I just couldn't help but cracking up with that fucking alliteration. Like Benny the Buzzsaw Buffalino.
It sounds like a really shitty 80s wrestler.
Exactly, dude. It does not sound like the leader of an Italian mob.
Oh, Jesus.
And so shortly during this scene, while they're all three of them are crammed into the bathroom, there's this great interaction where they're like, there's a car coming down the road, and that's when you realize that they have some other agents outside as well, waiting for them
on the way. Yeah.
And then they look out this window and they see this car coming down the dirt road towards this little bar that they're at out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And
right.
That's when Rabbit's like, all right, man, I'm with you.
He didn't want to go. He was like, I know my rights. I don't gotta go with you guys. But yeah, the moment that they're like, well, those guys are coming for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we get this car full of guys just jump out and the most cliche. It was just they put no effort into it. These guys just jump out in fucking ski masks and guns, and dude, the shootout is so awful.
I just mentioning this as the first shootout, this whole the shootouts in the shooting sequences in this movie, at some times you could even tell the audio wasn't lined up with what they were doing, and so bad. These weird bad off gunshot noises were just going while actors were holding their gun, or then they do this and then the audio would go. They'd shoot,
and it was just some of the shots were slow motion. They try to do these edgy cuts, but it's all fucking awful.
At one point during this this shootout at the bar, Jack Della Rocca's got two pistols out and he's blam, 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 and he's hitting nothing. He's hitting absolutely nothing.
But yeah, we right.
And but there's this one guy I had to point out. There's this one dude who hops out of the car and he looks like he's just walking around with this giant fucking machine gun loaded thing, and he also doesn't look like he does dick all, dude. I kept thinking,
no, he doesn't.
None of these people have a good shot.
It's like a scene from the A-Team where just all these big guns and no one can hit anybody.
But there's this great moment where Jack runs up on one of the guys.
It's hilarious.
And he stuffs his gun underneath his vest and go. It's guts him with his, and it's the worst noises.
It is. Oh my God, it's bad. And the guy just falls and dies. Then he has this weird
black and white flash of Jack has this black and white flash with blood, the bright red blood coming from the dude. And it doesn't explain it at all. You're just okay.
But yeah, he has this first vision of
vision.
This of this road work crew and a jackhammer. Okay, so after this, something super fucking hilarious happens, and it's how did they not go back and fix this? Because it's just a big editing problem. I don't know if you noticed it, but so they're in the shootout, and Steph screams, Steph goes, there's Suburban, and it shows this shot of a car coming down the road, but it's not a Suburban. It's whatever car that the gangsters had pulled up,
they just reused the shot or something.
They reused the shot of this other car, but it's not a Suburban. And then a second later, it cuts to the Suburban pulling into the fucking parking lot.
God, dude. Oh. Dude,
and all the other agents pop out, but I was how did they not fucking notice that?
I swear though, there's another time in this movie where I swear they reused the same shot, again, and I was it was a really quick thing, and I was just the fuck. So that's so funny that there was another one of those in the beginning that just slipped by me. But
it's just
fucking, oh my God,
up.
Dude.
Yeah, well, she's it's the SUV and it's a fucking car, and then then it's the SUV. I was oh my God.
I also just noticed that during this sequence, there's this whole not to dwell too much on the shootout, but there's this moment where the three of them, Jack, fucking Steph and Rabbit, are all hiding behind one single palm tree while there's this dude with a machine gun housing bullets at him, and Steph she steps out at one point
This is where they do the same shot twice.
Yeah. And then they like literally she steps out and then she does it again and then they do a reverse shot of it. So she steps out and then like she reverses back behind the tree, like exactly the movements that she used to get out of there.
It's so weird.
It was so obvious too, though. I was like, why the fuck not just like shoot her stepping back?
Anyway. It's awful. But so these other agents there's like 4 other federal marshals that pull up in a SUV and they basically, long story short, they provide the cover. So because Jack and Rabbit wind up in Rabbit's convertible and Steph winds up in the SUV with the other agents, and they end up killing all of the hitmen except for one.
Yeah.
And as they're leaving, they shoot his tire out, and then it shows him like pull his mask off. And he's supposed to be, like, I looked it up on Wikipedia. They're supposed to be what's the word I'm looking for? I'm blanking here. Which
no. Are they part of the...
They're supposed to be Russian mobsters.
That's what I was wondering, because
and the guy like doesn't really look too Russian necessarily. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they and that was one of the things that they make a point of while they're kind of introducing some of the backstory of Rabbit was that so he's like,
which happens in a little bit. Yeah,
he like is economics, or he studied economics. Then he, instead of going to Wall Street, decided to work for Little Italy, and at the same time started doing this, like running books for the Russian mob also.
Yeah.
And so he's deep.
But before that happens, like I said, so Jack and Rabbit are in the convertible. Stephanie's with the other.
They're in Rabbit's convertible, which he's very protective about.
Yes, and we see a scene where Stephanie's with the other agents and has some shitty acting, but then we get like all this banter back and forth between Jack and Rabbit, and there's a funny line where Rabbit says something and Jack's like, "Now would be the proper time for you to shut up." Like he has all these like really stupid, edgy like comments, but they have all this whole movie. They have this awful banter back and forth, and we learn here that they're driving to Los Angeles because court is at 10 a.m. and while it shows them in the driving, it has like a voiceover from Steph explaining who Jack is, and it's hilarious because we learn here that Jack is not only is he a Navy SEAL, but he's also an ex-CIA op.
Jack De La Roque was a big gun, man. That's fucking ridiculous. They really built him up. And then we get a hilarious scene where we see the hitman again. And dude, the scene where he shoots the guy driving the Jeep is utterly fucking like, us talking about it does not do justice. It's so stupid. So like, it's like literally like he just like, I don't know, he just shoots the driver as he's coming at him out of this Jeep, right?
Yeah.
And then like the driver like he just basically like perfectly
slumps
pulls over and like flops out of the car, and then the Russian guy just like walks up and just hops in and just like fuck, like
just the acting, like, because that this movie had like a low budget, so it doesn't even look like the guy got shot, but the guy's acting when he slumps over in the wheel, it looks like something we could have filmed in our backyard. He's just like,
dude, that's what I meant.
It is
by this movie,
pathetic.
They're so like, it's so weird.
It's pathetic
how there's like a handful of names and like faces that you can recognize, and just they're all attached to this movie that just is like you just said, man. Like at some points, like it's just like some fucking high school amateur kids like just fucking could have filmed some of this, but So also, like side note, I forgot to mention, dude, the guy that plays the Russian hitman, he is from he's from Mallrats. He plays LaFours, the security guard in Mallrats.
Does he really?
He does, and that's like the only credit I can give him. But
I don't
I mean,
recognize
Mallrats is
him
my
at all.
my favorite Kevin Smith movie. But
Okay.
that was like
fair.
that's the only thing I can pin on him. I don't even fucking know his name. I don't.
That's hilarious.
But yeah,
like you said, so then we learn, a little bit about Rabbit, how he was double dipping on both sides, and then they talk about commies for a minute.
Dude, I was just gonna say, 2001, they still slide some fucking commie hate in here. It's absurd.
Better dead than red or something like that.
Oh my god, they actually said it. Like,
yeah,
dead than red. Oh, it's so bad.
I just felt like that.
Bad.
It was just such an unnecessary. Like, why did they throw this part in? You know what I mean?
No idea, right? I wonder if this. Man, I'm gonna look it up while we're recording. But I wonder what month this. Oh, okay, never mind. This did come out after 9/11, so
okay.
It's weird that they. I was just like thinking, I wonder if they're just trying to put some commie hate in there because they didn't have anything else when they filmed this, and they probably didn't because they probably filmed this prior to 9/11.
Yeah,
so it's still fashionable, sort of, with certain crowds to hate on fucking
it's just
commies,
random,
I guess.
Yeah. And that's all they ever speak about it. Luckily,
yeah,
but,
like literally that is it. Like they make like it's like this weird moment, and then they go by it.
But now we learn that at this point they're driving on. They're trying to find the California-Arizona border.
Oh.
They're kind of lost. And Rabbit pulls out this handy dandy book that he has about Route 66, and he goes on to read an excerpt about Route 666.
Oh.
That was once a very popular road, but is now it's condemned due to a tragic chain gang accident, and travel is permitted.
a tragic chain gang accident.
Yeah, and then Jack has like a really quick vision again.
Oh my god!
But yeah, and then I love how when they find, so we very quickly
they pull over at Rattlesnake Ranch.
Yeah, yeah, and we see the entrance to Route 666, and you would think if maybe this road was like condemned or permitted, that it would be a little more of a harder way to get in, or maybe they would have barricaded. You know what I mean? It's literally just some really shitty metal fucking gate.
Yeah, it's just like a hodgepodge of like different like random scrap that somebody just like put together and put across
in a
there.
chain.
It looks really easy to move.
Yes, right.
And so they stand there and they debate it for a fucking while.
Yeah,
and like I'm like, should we do it? Should we go? Like. And it looks like it'd save them quite a bit of time. So Jack makes the call because he's ex-CIA. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. He knows what the fuck to do, right?
Although he is apprehensive at first, and then he has another one of his visions, and that's when he's like, it'll be quicker or something. Yeah. And then there's another hilarious line where he shoots the lock off, and Rabbit was like, that was government property, and Jack goes, I'm the government.
The arrogance on this guy, man.
We also get some like backstory here,
dude. Yeah, like Lou Diamond. Lou Diamond's fucking like.
He's so
every time,
bad
like they show him like. During this scene, like when he's having those flashbacks and stuff, they like cut through like the flashback to him, like Lou Diamond also being like
his expressions,
like his face, like his expressions, like what am I seeing? What am I, and it's just like it's just so bad.
Yeah, it's real bad.
So they decided to head on down Route 666.
Right, but before that, we get real quick. We get a little backstory. So
you're talking about like him talking about his mom passing away.
Yeah, like he's
6.
This is what's hilarious though is that he like had lived here when he was a kid or whatever, but that he never knew his father, and his father's buried out somewhere. But what's hilarious is if he grew up around there, he would know the area, but not like even 10 minutes ago when him and Rabbit were driving, Jack makes this big mention about how he has no idea where they are and they're lost. Like, what the fuck?
I know, dude. It's like, it's so weird. Like they just go back and forth with different elements, especially with his character. It's like, it's so strange.
But
yeah. Like I love the idea that he's just like, yeah, my dad's like buried out here somewhere. Like
random, which we learn more about later, obviously. And then they start driving down Route 66, and there's this really stupid fucking part where the other agents in the van are having this argument about whether Farrah Fawcett was a model or not.
Oh yeah, they're like, it's like you hear one of them go like, well, don't you remember the poster or something like that?
It's just stupid.
It's so weird because it's just like, why is that? Like, what does this have to do with anything?
Especially in 2001. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, not knocking Farrah Fawcett.
Not at all.
Beautiful woman. But,
beautiful, yeah.
But it's just like 2001. Why are these? Yeah, it's just so out of place. Like so much in this fucking movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a bad movie. But yeah, so
that's the thing, and then so like that's when you kind of get introduced to. Shortly after that, you get introduced to like the local, the local PD a little bit.
Yeah,
because like they are going. I don't know. I just think it's so funny that like, so there's like deputy rolls up and he notices that somebody's like gone through the Route 666 like gate, because he and he calls the sheriff,
Sheriff Conway,
Sheriff Conway, and like they basically like right off the bat you get some sketchy feeling from him, you know what I mean? Like it's just sort of interesting that like I don't know, they just I don't know, like there's like as soon these characters are equally like unimportant for so long, and then they're just like all of a sudden some of the most important like members of the plot.
Right,
like it's so true. But right here you're just sort of like, okay, the sheriff says to keep off the road and all this stuff. Like you're just like, okay, there's something going on with these guys.
Right, but Gil doesn't listen.
No,
I did not.
Gil does not.
I did not recognize the sheriff.
I was wondering who it was. I need to look it up. But either way, yeah, Gil does not listen, and he goes after him. Because Gil's a hell of a guy. He says, he literally says "fuck it" and drives through the gate.
So yeah, he pulls them over. And Jack explains that they're federal marshals, and Gil has a funny line here where he goes, "I don't care if you're fucking Santa Claus."
I don't care if you're fucking Santa Claus.
He's like, it's my jurisdiction or some shit like that.
Yeah, flexing the local PD trying to flex.
But long story short, they override him. Yeah. Gil leaves all pissy, and then we don't really, like you said, that's like. There's this little quick scene here where it's kind of unimportant, but then later in the movie, they come back, and then more of like the plot is revealed or whatever.
Yeah, it's just strange.
But yeah, so
such great acting between the deputy and Jack though. Like they're a tense moment.
Oh my god, fuck you! It's awful.
Just dead stares.
And then we have more. Not only that, but we get more of like. There's this really awful interaction between Stephanie and Rabbit, and she just annoys the fucking piss out of me. Like she tries to have this accent, and just the way she delivers everything. Like if you guys see this movie, you'll understand. But yeah, Rabbit tries hitting on her, and it's just I feel like a lot of stuff that happened in this movie was unnecessary filler. It was like
definitely.
I don't know, man. It just seems like they had an idea of how long they wanted the movie to be. They did all the big things they could do, and then they had to have all this shit to fill. Like that. Same with the Farrah Fawcett line. Like it's just dumb.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think they probably needed to get an hour and a half out of this movie. They needed their 90 minutes, and they probably filmed it and were like, all right, we're short. We just need to do some extra random stuff like this. These random character building scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just sort of I don't know, you're not really that attached to these characters. It's kind of unnecessary backstory for some of them at times, and you're just sort of like, okay, let's move the fuck on. The Farrah Fawcett stuff. But anyway, so you find that the Russian hitman, he's also stops at Rattlesnake Ranch, and he goes down the Route 666.
Yeah.
So they're all on their way. Also, I gotta point out, Rabbit at this point still has handcuffs on that he's been complaining about the entire movie. Man, he's very adverse to
continue to have for a while. But
it's kind of a funny bit that they keep using with him in a way. But
yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, it's kind of funny for a little bit. They do beat it to death.
Yes, they do. But but then we kind of have something finally important happen, which at first you're kind of like, what is the point of this? But then, you know, we learn more, but they're just driving and Jack sees this random cemetery off the side of the road and he just gets this like urge to stop at this cemetery. Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, he's like emotions to pull over and stuff.
But because he's having like, he has like, we forgot to mention that he has a couple more like visions while they're, you know, he's had a couple of visions at this point.
And one of them was like a graveyard with a few, you know,
with this big rock.
Tattered,
yeah.
Like, what am I trying to say? Headstones or whatever.
Yeah, and he also sees like a rock, which, so yeah, he goes into this cemetery. And we end up seeing the rock from his takes him a little while, but he comes across this big rock from his vision, and then he comes across these 4 giant. They're not giant, sorry, but just 4 cross-shaped headstones.
Yeah.
And we see it shows the names. One there's a Frank Slater, a Steve Bukowski, a Miles Hackman, but the most interesting one is a John LaRocca.
Whoa, that's Jack's last name.
Yeah, that's a Steph comes up and says, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like everybody's like super confused as to why the fuck they pulled over to begin with. And like even going into this scene, Rabbit has this little line where he's like making fun of him, like saying, "What are we stopping for, a picnic?" And he goes like, "Should I grab the wine and cheese into the trunk, sir?" and then Jack goes and he like you know, like he just said, he discovers these 4 graves, and
right.
It's like, you know, I mean, you immediately think there's got to be a connection, right?
Mm-hmm. So. And then Steph, because like he goes by himself at first, and then Steph comes up, and then PT comes up, and PT has this just like ridiculous monologue where he goes off about all the people on the headstones. He's like, "Oh well, Hackman hacked people to pieces, and these guys are all murderers and all this.
We've got the killers are us of the 60s." It's like
it's awful.
It's just like so. You're just like, okay, guy, okay.
And then we also learn here that they all died the same day, and they were of this prison road crew accident. And then that
couldn't possibly be the chain gang they're talking about, could it?
Right. He also tells this backstory about the Mr. LaRocca before he connects the dots that Jack's his son. But yeah, he's like, LaRocca was a family man, and he used to rob banks, but he settled down and had a family. And then one day the money wasn't enough, so he had to go back to it. And then he puts the pieces together, and he's like, "Oh, that's your dad." You know what I mean? It's like, no shit.
Yeah, obviously, you fucking idiot. And PT is, dude. PT's like the one character throughout this entire movie that I'm just like, well, maybe not the one, but he's just one of those characters. You're just like, I just want you to get fucking offed, and I want you to get offed in a cool way. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this sparks a little bit of a heated exchange, we'll say, where Jack and PT just start swinging on each other. And
right, they just get in a fight.
They just get into a fist fight right there. Lori doesn't do dick all to break it up. Lori, no. Steph doesn't do dick all to break it up. She's just like letting these 2 idiots just go to blow
have
for
this
blow.
Pissing match. Yeah, it's just a dick fucking competition, basically.
It's so ridiculous. And this point, you also see though that the Russian hitman. Okay, so there's a variety of things going on real quick.
There are.
So 2 of the agents have like gone to the Suburban to go fuck in the Suburban for a little bit while they're pulled over at this random graveyard on Route 666.
What a great idea.
like Rabbit and this other agent are still by the convertible, where the other guy's like, the agent's smoking a stove, and
Mm-hmm.
And Rabbit's just like handcuffed to the fucking car or whatever at this point.
Yep.
Because he never gets his handcuffs off. They just move him to different places.
Yeah, now he's handcuffed to like the door of the car. Yeah.
And then the Russian assassin shows back up.
Yep.
And he has like one of the weirdest like silencers that he puts onto his gun that I've ever seen. Oh my God. Movie. And
I love how he had to I almost feel like they only did the silencer part to further establish that this guy's a hitman or something, because it's just random.
Well, and you think about it, dude, like I feel like they gave this guy, I feel like they gave the actor like a vest from one of the other characters, because his vest is never zipped up. It's just loose and open. His supposed bulletproof vest is always just like loose and open. And I kept wondering, I was like, I wonder if it's just too small for him.
Yeah, because he's a little bit bigger guy.
Yeah, not knocking the dude, but I just feel like I think they just saved some money in the budget by reusing. Anyway, so there's this this exchange that like he basically just shows up and he starts trying to like open fire.
Yeah, he shoots Joe. He shoots the one officer that was
the
with
guy that was
Rabbit.
smoking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's great about this whole like sequence where he shoots Joe, they have a little bit of a scuffle and shootout. It's cut with scenes of Jack and PT just still going blow for blow. And I'm just like,
right.
It's just fucking absurd at this
point.
But
yeah, because he shoots Joe, and then you think maybe Rabbit's a sitting duck here because he's handcuffed to the car, but right before the guy can shoot him, Joe pops up and stabs the hitman.
Yeah. I'll say this, dude, like Joe is probably the most solid agent at the moment.
Yeah.
He's like the only one doing his fucking job right now.
It's true, but then we see like the hitman's blood has hit the ground, and suddenly it shows like, and I think it uses this shot. I think it uses this shot twice in the movie too. It does.
Most certainly does.
Where it shows this road, which doesn't look like the road they're on, and then these like ghostly images pop up at first, and then you see these four like tattered zombie-looking road crew workers. One has like a pickaxe, one has a jackhammer, one has a chain, and you're like, what the hell?
What the?
And then finally, this is where Rabbit is trying to shoot at them, and finally everyone else is alerted to the situation.
Yeah. So yeah, they definitely reuse that shot
later on. Yeah,
and
it's hilarious.
What's super funny is like the fade in, fade out of the ghost slowly getting closer. It's so bad, dude. Like like this is one of those scenes that dates the movie to like those are like that 2001 timeline, because you're just like, this reminds me of like. Just it's like 13 Ghosts or something. When 13 Ghosts is a fun movie, but
it's a great movie.
When they just like and they like ghosts
I know what
appear
you're
and disappear. Like they just did that in here, but just in a shitty way.
It's awful. Yeah.
And yeah, like the other thing that stood out was like if these ghosts are supposed to be supposedly this chain gang from the 1960s, there's no fucking way that they would have been using a fucking jackhammer in the like. There's no way that this prisoner would have access to a jackhammer in the 1960s. And so for him to, as a ghostly spirit, to like have this jackhammer that he lugs around, this is so fucking absurd. And then, as you find with this like coming up here, when they attack the agent Joe, yeah, like the jackhammer becomes like the main fucking weapon in a way, like, you know what I mean? Like almost every like official kill is like with the jackhammer, finally done with the jackhammer. You know, it's like, what the fuck?
But yeah, they Joe gets dragged off with the chain, and then they essentially jackhammer him to death. And then it's funny because he gets killed, and then it shows his body again like shortly after, and he's just it looks like he got rolled over by a steamroller. It's just this like flat mess on the ground. Like a jackhammer wouldn't do that.
No.
It's hilarious.
Oh my god, yeah. And so, this is like the sequence. So the two agents that were banging, they were basically like, they're alerted. Like Jack and PT and Steph are all alerted. They're all running down to the scene.
They try shooting the zombies. It doesn't work.
That's when they realize that like they can't you use their guns against them. Really, it's like
Right.
ineffective. And then isn't this also like this sequence is also where the one zombie or ghost or whatever they are like, has this confrontation with Jack, right? Is this where he takes his dog tags?
Yeah, because you're led to believe that that's his zombie ghost dad. But yeah, he takes his dog tag.
Because like they focus on the back and it says La Roca on the back of his.
Yeah, he takes his dog tag. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, but like him, like that character, like wielding the chain, like that could have potentially been a good character if they like would have like let him maybe do a little more. They should have just made things a little more brutal, and it could have been a little more like horror.
I completely agree. Yeah.
But it just
But yeah,
he picks Jack up by one hand or whatever. So you're like, oh, this ghoul's strong, and then he like takes his dog tags, and then like it's just weird because this is where Jack gets split from the group, right?
Yeah, because Steph and Rabbit hop in the convertible. The other three agents hotwire the SUV, and Jack jumps into the Jeep.
The Russian guy's Jeep because he's now dead and he doesn't need it.
And then like while they're driving off, Rabbit films the zombies with the camcorder, and this part is hilarious. So the guy with the jackhammer starts drilling a hole in the ground, and we see this like comically large fucking hole in the ground that there's no way he jackhammered that quick, and all the zombies like jump into the fucking jackhammered hole.
like it's like he just dug like a fucking manhole sized hole.
Yeah,
and like one by one the zombies just like hop down it. Like, it's so fucking absurd. And that's when you're like, okay, so wait, do they just live underground? Do they live under the road? What is happening? Do they just?
That's what Rabbit thinks. Yeah,
that's what Rabbit thinks.
Because Rabbit basically explains this theory that he saw them go into the road, and that he thinks that they can only travel on the road and they get their power from it. Oh, it's absurd.
It's so bad. Like, oh god, yeah. It's like they were just really struggling to like piece this one together.
And then we kind of see that. We kind of see in this hilarious scene too that maybe his theory is correct, because all of a sudden, like, because we don't see Jack here, it's just the others, but all their tires on their vehicles start like burning up and turning into like melt essentially because the road is hot. So they pull over to this abandoned roadside stop. You know what I mean? And all their tires are just burnt down to melted rubber. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they pull over and this I kept tripping out about this because I was just like, it's just this random like drive-in movie theater or something, way out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, that's right. Because there is a projector. You're right.
And there's like a big snack shack, and then they show like I was like,
there's a payphone booth. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, what? Like who built this? Who put this out here to begin with? Like anyway, so yeah, they pull over because their tires. When they show them pulling over, their tires are like fucking like gnarly. So apparently some supernatural things were happening.
Right.
But yeah, so and this is, so they pull over, and this is where like they start trying to explore the area, because this is like they're around this area for the bulk of the rest of the movie, I believe.
Right.
And then it kind of slowly cuts to what happened to Jack. And this is where you find that Jack slowly is like wakes up, and he's in this cave. And there's just this random fucking dude in the cave with him
dude, it's like an Indian shaman, and they didn't even try to like give this guy any sort of outfit. He's just some Indian looking guy wearing a coat. Like
he's literally wearing like a track jacket and like
that's not what
windbreaker pants or something.
That's not what an Indian shaman living in the desert would wear. It's hilarious.
Yeah, dude, it's so bizarre. And you know, like Jack he has this like big spot of blood on his head, so he's like, you know, what happened?
Awful effects, yeah.
Makes his joke, I'm having the worst day of my life, you know, like all this stuff. The shaman just immediately starts like he like offers him some tea at some point. They joke about peyote a couple of times throughout.
Because he's smoking like a peace pipe and offers it to Jack, and Jack's like, "Is that peyote?" And there he's like, "Tobacco."
Yeah, tobacco. He's like, good answer.
But yeah, he drinks some of the tea. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, how do I say it? I just feel like this scene also was really unnecessary because
it was
because you don't do anything with the shaman character outside of this interaction, and outside of this interaction, I don't know, it's just.
And all he really adds to it is that he says this one line where he's like, "You must walk among the spirits and bring peace back to the land," and it's like, it's just another scene that I felt like just added to the time of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe they thought it'd be clever. I don't know, but it's bad.
It's like he talks. He's like waxes about the road. Like the road carries all the bloodlines of our ancestors or something. Like that.
That's right. That's right.
It's just like so fucking bizarre because I kept thinking, I was like, I don't think Native American people would really like claim Route 66 as like, a big heritage thing. I don't know. It just seemed really strange. It was like I associate Route 66 with like Americana shit. It's
totally
like traveling
get
down
your
old Route
kicks
60
on Route 66.
Oh my god, dude! I have to point out. So I went down to get some espresso right before this, and when I got into the car, I turned the radio on. And I shit you not, that song started playing. It was like the tail end of it. And it was like Route 66 or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck?
That's awesome.
So this is also, you kind of see Jack has some of the tea, like we said. And then he sort of has a bit of a vision.
And it's more detailed. Yeah.
It's you see all the chain gang workers, you see, the kind of like a bit of the situation that might have happened, like some sort of scuffle happened
with the police, the police guarding them or whatever. Yeah, and
so it starts fleshing out the story of this chain gang a little bit more. Which I mean, like, I don't know. Like I was just like baffled at this point with the movie. So anyway, so Jack kind of he eventually leaves the shaman's cave and wanders.
The one funny thing about this part is that this peyote joke we mentioned where he didn't want to smoke the peace pipe because he thought peyote was in it, but then it turns out the peyote was in the tea.
He's like, oof. But
he's like, what kind of tea was that? It's peyote tea.
Is there any other kind?
But yeah, Jack's like wandering through the forest, and then we go back to the other group.
Yeah, who are now like hanging at the drive-in area. They're all out of the cars. And you see that like they've given Rabbit is like handcuffed, sitting there
to like a post.
His handcuffs are behind his back at this point.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Because they could be, and you only know that because they continuously bring up his handcuff situation.
Movie. It's ridiculous.
It's like a plot element in this movie.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And yeah, exactly. Unfortunately. And so, like, they're basically in the same situation that they've been in. They're fucking stuck. Yeah. They don't have any idea how to fucking get out there.
Yeah. They've come to terms with their situation that they have no food or water. So they're all a little afraid.
Yeah.
And this is where one of them, Nick, decides that he wants to go back to the SUV to get a cigarette. You know what I mean? Go light one up.
Yeah. And there's this like interaction right as he's leaving. So like Rabbit, I felt bad because that Rabbit has a duct tape over his mouth at this point for some reason that they don't explain. And as Nick's walking away, he like rips the duct tape off of his mouth. And Rabbit's like, yeah, he's like, you son of a bitch. And he like starts yelling at him. And he says something like, there better not be one mustache hair missing or something like that. And then he like right after he goes, and could you bring me a smoke?
Right. I mean, hey.
He's like, yeah. It was just great. It was just like, and man, hey, oh yeah. But anyway,
that's right. Yeah.
So Nick is like, he's in the SUV. He's having a stogue. He's looking all like a little bit relaxed for a second, and then, time for homie to meet his demise. Really.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what he gets hit with or whatever. Or no. So his hand gets like slammed into the door or something like that, right?
Yes.
And so he's like, and so his hand gets slammed into the door, and he's like frantically like, oh god, I gotta get it out. And that's when he like it's like the door opens and then does he get domed or does he get
he gets
backhanded?
bashed in the head with the
right.
with the sledgehammer, and then he's like convulsing on the floor.
The twitches, dude. The twitches
which would happen. I feel like if you got hit head, that would happen.
Yeah, I was like his death was actually
at least that was a little realistic.
Yeah.
But then there's a weird thing that happens where it shows his body get pulled away and the blood on the SUV disappears, which never happened at any other point. Never ever happens again. It was like, what the fuck was the point of that?
It was one of those parts of the movie where you're just like, exactly, you're just like, what was in like reflecting, you're just like, what was the fucking point of that? Like what was necessary about that? Anyway, so this is when you get back to, so none of the other agents know about this,
right? Because like it shows Mary try to walkie him and gets no response. That's the one that was like hooking up with him earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, she tries to walkie him and gets no response, and then Rabbit like tells his theory to the other marshals that they can only walk on asphalt.
Yeah.
And then
why are they here? Because it's dirt. This isn't asphalt.
Yeah, exactly. And then they hear a noise and they kind of get freaked out. And then it just turns out to be, it's like a shitty jump scare where Jack joins back up with them.
Yeah. And Lou Diamond Phillips like just casually walks around this corner. Yeah, I just got back from wandering in the desert. So it's kind of funny because like at the moment, like they're all like the group is just frayed, right? So obviously Nick's dead. Mary's over, like, you know, was trying to call him to no avail. PT is just fucking drunk out of a flask he randomly had. Yeah. And like, so nothing is going right.
Right.
And Rabbit's still just sitting there with his hands behind his back.
Yeah.
I love this and this is what I mean, where it's like a plot element. So they make this big deal about like Jack going up and unhandcuffing him for a second and then immediately handcuffing him to a pole.
Right.
And then it's just like, oh my God. And then he has this like, well, I don't know, and then they leave him there because they're, you know, obviously they're trying to figure out how to fucking get out of here or communicate.
Well, they also try to go find Nick
back in a hot second. And
right.
This is like the only part like where I think the blood disappearing was a thing, maybe because they really just wanted to set up like the mystery.
Oh, so that makes sense. Like, okay. Yeah, good call.
It's like there's like this weird, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know why the ghouls have this power, but there's this weird, like the blood on the car disappears. Mm-hmm. But then there's like this black gooey stuff on the
road. Yeah.
That Jack touches immediately.
But yeah, because they go to investigate that, and while they do, Rabbit steps and kills a scorpion.
And they make it a big deal to show like the red blood of this like coming from the scorpion or whatever.
And then because of the blood and because there's a little bit of concrete, a zombie quickly shows up behind Rabbit, swings a pickaxe at him. He rips the post. It's hilarious. He just finds the strength to rip this post out of the ground and goes running towards the group. And then in this really hilarious scene, he's running and Jack like pops out from behind.
Oh my God, yeah.
And like fucking WWF clotheslines him to the ground. It's hilarious.
He just takes him the fuck out. Yeah, it's and that it's just this like wild, you know, and then everybody's like freaking out. They're like, why do you have a pole in your hands and shit like that? This like they do literally take the time in the movie to make it a point of like to have Rabbit explain, like, I don't know, you know, like it's like you know, when you're in that moment or whatever, you know, and you have basically he's just alluding to like testosterone running or like your adrenaline's running and pumping and you're just like, fucking gotta go. So, he
also switches up his theory that before it was, you know, they could only travel on the road, and now it's they can travel the concrete. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's
fucking ridiculous.
It's still very limiting for these zombie creatures, you know. I mean,
and then
just stay in the dirt then.
So I like how none of them ever thought, let's try the payphone, and they had to have this scene where like so the phone just starts ringing out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Jack goes to answer it. There's no payoff. It's only a dial tone. And that's when they're finally like, well, you know, why don't you use the phone? Like, why the fuck didn't anybody fucking think of that earlier?
Well, exactly, dude. Like, you guys have all been standing around this place for a fucking while now. Nobody like walked over and just picked it up just to see.
No
if it was
fucking
working.
shit.
But yeah, like right before that, there's this great scene where they're all like, the camera's kind of going around the circle, like panning on everybody, and they're all arguing about that communication issue, right? And Jack's like, I'm gonna use this phone here, and somebody's like, the phones don't work, and he's like, and he flips out where he's just like, well, I can't do anything else. I can't hotwire that car to use Morse code. I can't do. He's like, he starts doing like yelling, and then he goes, he like tries to use the phone, and he goes, and the phone doesn't work.
It's outrageous. It's ridiculous.
It's just absurd.
But yeah,
so he tries to call from Steph's suggestion 911.
Mhm.
And that's when I see this great shot of the sheriff again, who's like just sitting there kicked back in his office reading like a gigantic copy of The Telltale Heart.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really funny because I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen like that thick of a copy of that.
No,
I
me neither.
I don't think it's a big story.
No, it's probably like a collected, all these different Poe stories. But anyway, we get introduced to Conway and Gil here. And this is where you mentioned earlier that there's maybe something a little off about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so like, you know, like the entire time that Jack's like on the phone, telling him like, listen, we're on the old Route 66. Like, we need to get out of here. I need you to call I'm a federal agent that needs to get this witness to LA by 10 a.m. tomorrow. And the sheriff, like the entire time, everything that he's saying to him just doesn't even like phase him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's the indicator. You're just like, this sheriff's fucking up to something, because he just
totally.
He's just sort of like super casually taking this in. Jack gives him a number to call, and you don't even see him really write it down.
No.
So you're just like, the fuck, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he just like immediately hangs up the phone and just goes back to reading his fucking book.
Yeah. You can tell he's not going to call.
Yeah.
So yeah, that happens, and then Jack has quickly after this phone call, Jack like sees the projector and has this vision that the projector turns on, and then we get another flashback of the incident with the road crew, but like just like the last time, it's a little more detailed this time, where we learned that the officer's making them dig a hole. Yeah.
They basically like the officers that were making them dig the hole turned on. They basically like planned on killing them.
Right. Which we don't see the payoff to quite yet.
Not quite yet, but that's basically it. Like you know, so you start learning that like maybe the chain gang aren't like the real villains here.
Yeah.
You know?
Good point.
I mean, they're villain. I guess they're
bad people, but they're not.
But they're not like like anyway. So and it's like you're right. Like it's like cut with this like weird, like these cuts of like Jack staring at like the drive-in projector.
Yeah. But real quickly after that, we hear police sirens. And Jack is like pissed when Gil and Sheriff Conway show up. Oh, that's right.
Not the kind of backup he wanted.
they hear the sirens, but before, so Jack takes Rabbit to take a piss in the bathroom, and then we see that like Conway and Gil and this other sheriff have taken PT's gun. They're holding them at gunpoint. And Sheriff Conway even goes as far as fucking point blank killing Mary with a shotgun blast in the chest.
Yeah, dude, that was fucking gnarly. So he's like questioning him, and then he just blows her fucking down.
Yeah.
I was just like, fuck, man. That was the most horrible part of this movie.
Totally. You'd already previously thought that maybe they're a little up to something, but this is where it just gets full blown real quick with no indicate. You know what I mean? It just happens.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Where it's like all of a sudden, like boom, now you know, like really who's the fucking adversary in this situation.
Right.
But yeah, it's and then he like starts threatening to do it to shoot down Steph also. In that same sequence, you know, because. He
wants to know where the other. So he doesn't know that there's two other people. He thinks there's one other marshal.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out the location. Like you said, he's threatening to kill Stephanie. PT spills the beans.
PT spills the beans.
So then there's a great shot where Gil goes to investigate, and we see he goes into the bathroom, and Rabbit is there. Oh, it's only Rabbit. Jack's. We learned a second later that Jack's hiding in the stall, but it was like it doesn't explain any of this. It leads you to come up to the conclusion that maybe Jack had this real quick idea that Rabbit should pose as the agent, because that's what happens. Like, he flashes the badge. He's like, I'm a federal agent.
Yeah, you see this fucking badge?
Which they already done earlier with Gil. Like Gil, you know what I mean? It was just like they already did this.
Yeah, they're doing they're just rehashing the same things out of their own movie now. I mean, they use the same scenes for a couple of shots, so it might as well. But so they take Rabbit back to. He takes Rabbit back to the main group.
Yeah.
Well, the other two agents and the sheriff. And Jack, there's this great shot of like the Blue Diamond Phillips crawling through the sagebrush. It just looks like
for fuck's sake.
Very cat-like.
Yeah. Very nimble. Yeah.
Very nimble. And he sneaks into the sheriff's SUV.
Yes.
And all while the sheriff's kind of getting in the faces of the other agents, and then he starts he lights off like the sirens to grab their attention and shit.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little bit of what you think is maybe like a chase sequence, but then it turns out that like
because you see two of the vehicles driving away. Yeah, and you're like, huh?
Exactly. And so basically Jack is like hiding out in the back of the seat that in the car that Gil hops in, like chase him down or whatever. Yeah,
because Gil hops into one, and then we learn that Jack was in the back seat with the gun and had put a rock on the fucking Jesus
Classic move. Just puts a rock on the accelerator and lets the other car go. And then so he pops up and puts a gun to Gil's head and makes him like fucking get out of the truck. He handcuffs him to the front of the SUV.
Yeah.
And I think this is when we finally see the zombie ghouls again.
Right, because Gil is like handcuffed to the vehicle, and Gil is like, not on the road, like basically admitting that he knows what's going on. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so
that's where Jack's like, what? What's going on? Like,
yeah. And then this is what we were talking about earlier, where you see the same shot from before. of the same roadway that doesn't look like the road they're on.
Not at all.
And it's just like the weird like early 2000s like ghost fade in out, fade out. Jack sees them and starts opening fire. Goo 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 goo. Doesn't do jack shit to him.
He also like, this part was funny to me. Even though these officers are holding their friends at gunpoint, he uncuffs Gil. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I would have just let him to his fucking fate, but Gil does.
He does anyway.
Yeah, Gil gets jackhammered like a motherfucker, and again, one of the scenes it's supposed to probably make.
He gets sledgehammered and jackhammered.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He gets the dual hammer.
Yes. Yeah. Long story short, he gets killed like the other guy gets killed. He just gets jackhammered into a pulp, essentially.
And that's the other thing. And then, like, every kill is pretty much the fucking same in this movie, which was super disappointing.
Yeah.
At least, like, that's the thing I love about good horror is, like, giving you the variety,
Yeah. And then we have another fracas so Jack comes back. Conway thinks it's Gil. Jack surprise attacks him. And then, like, this scuffle happens with the other sheriff and PT. So the other sheriff real quickly shoots PT in the chest.
Yeah.
PT falls down, and then Rabbit blasts away the other corrupt officer with the shotgun, which is a great
justice.
Yeah. And then he has a great line where he goes, "There's a new marshal in town." For fuck's sake.
God, dude. Yeah. This is one of those moments. Like, it was, you think for a hot second that PT might have gotten the better of the sheriff or of the deputy or whatever, and then you just see him like drop.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. But anyway, so Jack's like confronting the sheriff, and
Conway, yeah.
Yeah, Conway. And he's basically just like, beating the fuck out of him and like trying to get, answers. He punches him and he said, like, he socks him in the gut and he goes like, "That's for shooting an unarmed woman." Or whatever.
Yeah.
Really standing up for the underdog there, Jack.
Good for him. Yeah. And
Good
then Jack's asking him about the zombies, and Conway says this line that they need blood to stay strong. And then this is where we have like the final flashback where we learn, what really actually happened that day. Conway was the sheriff that was there that like basically set up this plot that these guys were going to bury the hole. He was going to put them in there, kill them, bury them, and then make it look like they ran away.
Yeah. And which is just sinister. It is. It's honestly sinister, but it's such like a loose thing. Like that's how I kept like everything about this movie just felt so loosely like put together,
just thrown together.
When they finally came up with like when this finally gets revealed, you're just like, okay, like I get that that's the direction we were headed, but at the same time, like,
yeah, it just seems like
they're fucking cop out.
Just seems like they're just grabbing at straws. Like they probably. I wonder if they just. I don't know, man. It just seems like they tried to come up with this really creative thing that just did not pan out the way they first saw it.
And so basically you have the sequence of like, the chain gang being told to get into this hole. They get gunned down. Like he literally says the bot like open fire, boys, or something like that. And like they just like start gunning down these unarmed fucking prisoners. And then he steamrolls over them.
Yeah, because he also makes like it kind of establishes in the scene that maybe the other guys were more bad than his dad was. Yeah, and that he also forces his dad in there. Yeah, then they they steamroll it. It's
oh my god, dude,
fucking ridiculous. Which
the steamroller comes into play again, like in just
which is like
bit.
the only reason they did that. I think
I agree.
Fucking hilarious.
I agree.
But yeah, but now we're back to present. We're back to like. We saw the flashback and then it's back to the present. Now the zombies have showed up again.
Yeah. Like Lou Diamond Phillips is like, he knocks the sheriff down again with a punch and he's like fucking shaking him on the asphalt and he's like yelling at him. And there's this great letter. He's like, "You're the reason these spirits are restless." Jack's finally piecing it together. So then it cuts back to like Rabbit and Steph and they're like holding PT. PT's fucking dead. So then they go off to like go see what the fuck Jack's up to. This is when the return of the zombie ghouls kind of happens, and this is like this like epic moment. Like this moment to me was like reminiscent. Like somebody writing this had to have loved Return of the Jedi because there's this great like Jack's getting the shit like about to be beaten out of him and he goes father and the big bad ghoul as dad fucking has this like change of heart and just starts attacking the other zombie ghost ghouls or whatever.
It's hilarious.
And the only reason they get out of it is because of that. Like that's he ends up killing the other zombies with the jackhammer. It's hilarious, dude. And then they just disappear after they get killed. Oh my god, so fucking absurd. Also, wait, we forgot to mention that the other part, the other steamroller moment, where that's like the sheriff is.
That doesn't happen quite yet.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the zombies take each other out first. There's this great. So like the zombie with the jackhammer, like at one point tries to jackhammer like the dead Jack's dead dad, and like he it's like this great action sequence. He like goes to jackhammer him in midair because nobody's laying down. So and then the Jack's dead dad moves to the side and takes the jackhammer like in the middle. It like just grabs it in the middle and just pushes it into like the dude behind him, and it's just like this fucking like ridiculous moment where you're like, how are they wielding this gigantic jackhammer like this?
It's hilarious. Like, we also forgot that like during this scene that the zombie ghost dad is like getting overpowered. Jack cuts his fucking hand with his knife and then like joins hands with his dad to give him power so he can like usurp the last zombie and kill it. It's hilarious. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's like cuts his hand and like holds it out, like take my blood. It's so fucking bad, dude. It's so fucking bad.
It's awful because so he kills the last zombie, and then he gives his dad gives Jack the dog tag back.
Dog tag.
And then he just walks off into the sunset and disappears.
Yeah. just like it's just kneels down and just like all of a sudden fades out and he's gone.
Out. Dude, us talking about it does not do this scene justice. It is so fucking ridiculous.
It was just so absurd. Like it I don't know. I couldn't even take it seriously to one iota, which is exactly what you can't do anything serious about this movie. And then so then you think like, okay, so things are resolved, right? And then you like the sequence where the sheriff's like trying to get back in the car or something like that to get away. He's not fucking done yet. He's still alive. And so the three people that are left, Steph, Jack, and Rabbit, just start opening fire on his ass.
That was amazing. Yeah.
And so then
just gangland style, they just like
it's like Denzel at the end of Training Day. He gets lit up, like, and then you have the steamroller moment, which is just
oh my god,
baffling to me. Like so. The sheriff is
only the sheriff sees the steamroller. Like they don't see this ghostly steamroller.
No, this ghostly steamroller. So like the sheriff is just like he sees this thing because he's like on the ground bleeding out, and he sees the steamroller and it's coming at him, and he starts shooting at it.
I love how he tries to shoot at it. Like it's not gonna do anything.
Gonna stop that steamroller, boy. And then like it shows from Jack or Rabbit or Steph's perspective, possibly like what they would be seeing, and they see like him getting steamrolled, but they don't see a steamroller, and they don't see him getting flattened either.
He does not get flattened. He does not
get flattened.
No. He just essentially like he like
convulses and like makes some like agonizing noises, and then he's fucking dead.
I wonder if whatever small budget they had, they'd already spent, so they couldn't flatten him. But what the fuck?
Because it made no sense to steamroll him then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you would have obviously gotten turned into a human pancake. But yeah, it just the scene makes no fucking sense. Because he just dies. Yeah, it's oh my god, it's so bad.
And then the whole movie ends on such a fucking like lame note where it's like the three of them are walking off down Route 66. And Jack makes a comment like, well, we might be able to get you to the court on time. Like to Rabbit. And then it just like kind of like just like pans up from them walking to like the sky, and then the movie's fucking done.
Yeah, he also makes one last joke where he's like, hey, it's a date. Yeah. And then, and then the credits roll, and you're just like, thank fucking God, the movie's over.
You're like, what the fuck just happened?
It is just like it's one of those where, like we said, it's mostly action but with horror elements, so it tries to do two different things and it doesn't do any of them good at all. Like it is
the only thing that this thing did well was just showcasing Lou Diamond Phillips' lack of giving a shit in 2001. Like this was just.
I wonder how much you got paid for that, because oh my god,
that's what I'm curious about too. Like, this movie was just it was just garbage. You can laugh at some elements of it, but like it's not even like the most fun to laugh at, honestly. It's sort of just like, what the fuck is happening in this damn movie?
Yeah.
Route 666. Don't go down it. No, go down it.
Also, if you want to skip this movie and never see it in your life, I will totally understand. But at the same time, if you just want something so fucking dumb that you can put on and just zone out and watch it, go for it, because you'll get some laughs out of it. It's awful acting, shitty dialogue, bad effects, things that happen that make no fucking sense. Like, it's just oh my god, it's bad.
Yeah, it's definitely like it. it harkens back to like those, you know, B movies and shit like that, where you're just like, they are just phoning it in, but they're trying to pull something off, you know. It's just like it's a 2001 like, B movie. Like,
except not good. Yeah. It is so awful. It is so a shitty fucking movie, and I don't know what they were trying to do with it, or what like audience they thought they were going to. Here's the most hilarious part about it, and I wish I would have said this at the beginning. When I was going to watch it on Prime, it's rated 4.5 stars.
That's
how the fuck is that possible?
That's fucking nuts. There's some big Lou Diamond Phillips fans out there.
I never even really thought he was that good of an actor. Like, I'm trying to think, what did he get big from? Like, I know he was in a lot of random shit, but
I feel like he was just in a hodgepodge of fucking roles, man. He's just been one of those.
He was around forever, so he had to have gotten big from something at some point.
Yeah,
I just don't.
I think. Oh my god, what was it? I'm pretty sure it was. He did like roles like he was in La Bamba. He was nominated for. Well, the movie was nominated for an Academy Award, Stand and Deliver, which is like about like, you know, kind of like a impoverished income, like inner city youths and stuff like that.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely been around, like you said. I mean, he's been a part of some really big things. Like, he was part of the Young Guns Western franchise, which I know like we don't like. It was big for when it popped, you know, because it had like, that was like one of those like ensemble movies where it had like,
I think
fucking Emilio.
That's right. Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland, who were like all huge in the 80s. I mean, that was like in the 88.
That's right. Yeah. One of my friend's dad was a huge fan of those movies.
Yeah.
He'd always call me Arkansas Dave, which was one of the characters apparently.
Arkansas Dave. Yeah, just a lot of stuff. I mean, but like, definitely just a hodgepodge, man. I mean, I would say like those first ones I mentioned were probably like the most some of the most notable roles he probably had. But I don't know, like, I mean, yeah, strange movie to attach yourself to in if in any capacity, really. Yeah, but yeah, well, I don't know if we're gonna go down Route 666 anytime soon, but you know, we'll have a better movie for you next week, hot dogs. I guarantee it, because you can only go up from here.
Yeah, it's for damn sure.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's call it here. Do you have any movie suggestions for the hot dogs? Anything that they should cover before we come back? Do we have a movie picked out for next week yet?
I think we might, but I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out post. Yeah. All right, hot dogs. Well, gobble this one up. Maybe go watch the movie if you want some laughs, like Dave said. Put it on while you're like, I don't know, cooking or something. Just turn it up so you can like laugh at it a little bit.
There you go.
All right.
Don't make it your main focus, but yeah.
Yeah, don't pop some popcorn and sit down and like try to watch this movie.
Yeah, just don't.
Do something else with your life and watch the movie at the same time. All right. We'll leave it there then, hot dogs.
Till next time.